Welcome forward here with An Eternal Career by the Hammer Couple. We're in chapter 13, the final chapter here. It's entitled The Mystery of Death. The opening quote reads, "You call it death, this seeming endless sleep. We call it birth, the soul at last set free. 'Tis hampered not by time or space, you weep. Why weep at death? 'Tis immortality." End of quote. Death. Who coined that awful word with its dread implications? Who painted death with its dark and false colors? People shrink with terror when they think of it. Their voices sink when they speak of it. Their minds filled with fear when they think of it. Their whole being vibrates to a different force when they contemplate it. They look upon it as the greatest calamity and act as if their loved ones are no more and become immersed in the deepest despair. There is no death. What seems to be cessation is only transition. The soul withdraws from the physical organism and continues to exist as organized entity of spirit, mind, and spirit body. The eternal form mingles again with the elements of the earth, never more to be reclaimed, but the spirit is clothed in a spiritual body which has senses and faculties corresponding to all the physical ones. Death is a mystery because it's silence, but it's not fearful. It's not a fearful one. It's the friend who freed you, who has the key to the door that can be opened in no other way. It comes unsought, quite often with a stealthy tread, and you are called to go elsewhere. All the collected power of the world cannot ward off this visitor. No excuses avail. No period of waiting is permitted, no time extended to finish earthly business. If your pen is lifted, may not be able to write. You may be active in your daily routines when this messenger arrives, or it may overtake you in your sleep to awaken in another state of consciousness. Death, the last act on the stage of human activity, liberates the soul from the bondage of the flesh. It is a breath, and life anew is experienced. And unlike moving from one earthly locality to another, this change is easily and quickly effected. No garments are required, no possessions are taken. The only preparation needed is a mental and spiritual one. On your arrival in the land of spirit, you are always met, usually by your nearest and dearest ones who have requested and have been granted permission to greet you. They understand that you have been through, for while the experience is new to you, it has already been theirs. They also knew the momentary terror you felt when released the hand of friend or relative. They too underwent the sorrow of bidding farewell to loved ones. You will not necessarily dwell with those you lived with on earth. Rarely will you always be together, no more than on earth were you constantly with them. You will be led to those by who have greater wisdom and wider experience, enabling you to progress more rapidly. You will not be changed beyond recognition. You will not be changed at all. Death affects no alteration in appearance or in the intellectual, emotional, moral, and spiritual nature of man. Death changes a man no more than does moving from one city to another, nor does it absolve him from his moral obligations. Evil men are not transformed into angels, nor good men into demons. Human nature here is human nature there. No fabrication is more pernicious than the one that makes death an avenue of escape from the consequences of one's acts. As, for example, the suicide who hopes for oblivion, dissolution, he believes will save him from his sins and free him from his troubles and obligations. Whereas, if he knew the truth, that there is no escape from life and its problems, he would not be apt to make such a dreadful mistake as destroying his body. Suicide solves no difficulties. It erases no errors. They must be solved in a future day under conditions less favorable. Not so long as man is convinced that through faith he can secure forgiveness, so long he will gratify his evil desires. So long as he believes that through death he will be absolved from his sins, so long will he continue many practices he would abandon if he knew that life is eternal, continuous, and changeless, that fulfillment its duties and payment of its debts are inescapable. The goal reached on earth is the starting point over there. While on earth you form certain habits, develop inherent faculties, and unfold latent capacities, and if you have enlightenment, build your character. As you acquire wisdom, you will discard undesirable habits, modify intolerant opinions, and overcome the defects which lessen your progression. So by the time you are old, your character is closer to perfection than when you were young. Your requirements, capacities, and abilities determine your status on earth. They will also decide your position in the spirit world. Death in no way affects man's status or his accomplishments, and what is known to man will be known to spirit. Contrary to some peculiar ideas, no soul is ever transported into the presence of the Most High, nor unto the bosom of Jesus, with all its sins miraculously washed away. They will find themselves instead in a place congenial to their nature, and consistent with their manner of thinking and living. Some souls gravitate to higher planes, others to lower, but many remain on earth chained to their material interests and their physical desires. Wise are those who overcome the desires of the flesh and the attractions of matter. Let their vices die before them, so that they will be prepared to live in spirit. Quote, "He is at peace, he is happy now." End of quote. How often one hears these expressions at burial services, but death is no gain and cannot give us what we do not already have. Unless one has happiness and peace, here it is folly to suppose he will have had them elsewhere. Felicity and serenity are not vicarious gifts. They are states of mind which must be earned, and having been earned, must be guarded very carefully. Unquestionably, the most criminal hoax ever perpetrated on mankind is the belief that when the body is laid to the grave, the man is laid there also, and that when the organs of senses are buried, the senses are also interred. This deception has caused untold sorrow and suffering. This fallacy is also responsible for another great evil, namely the extravagant expenditures upon funerals. The pagan preoccupation with the body has in every age been a source of much mischief and contributed greatly to the impoverishment of the people. It is a custom universally deplored by enlightened people, which no effort seemed to be able to eradicate. It is only too evident that people are ignorant as ever as regards to their true nature. Let me read that again. It is only too evident that people are ignorant as ever as regards their true nature. For at the request of relatives, the government is planning to bring 300,000 bodies of American boys buried abroad to this country for reparation. The cost of this project will be over 333 million, which will also be as naught if the boys are brought back. But alas, all the money and the power, the world cannot restore life to a single body. Then why all the expenditures upon corpses? Because the bereaved parents, unable to conceive of life apart from the form, wishes them returned home and to honor them with a memorial service. Honor the victims of war by reburial of their corpses? Who benefits by it? No one. There is only one way to honor these slaughtered boys. Honor them by preventing another catastrophic war from being passed on to another generation. Another egregious error cherished by many as that the citizens of the higher realms spend their time resting, sleeping, and mulling over the past. However, life over there is entirely different from these orthodox misconceptions. Pause a moment and consider. Many people commence things on earth which they desired with all their soul, but were forced to give up, and must wait until passing to the spirit before resuming these occupations of interest. These they do not resume and perfect. Let me read that again. These they do not resume and perfect, and then return to earth to help those struggle with similar and studies and problems. For example, many on earth longed to sing but had no voice. Others lost their voice, yet had a song in their heart all their days. On the passing to spirit, they perfected their singing and returned to earth to help discouraged students and inspire them to greater effort. The same is true of other vocations, for all occupations not purely material are continued. Life needs completion and fulfillment. Interrupted plans, deferred hopes, and uncompleted designs, all aspirations and longings, find realization over there. Nothing worthwhile can be accomplished in one short earthly life. Indeed, there is much to be done over there. Many laboring, caring for the sick and those who have taken their own lives. Others teach people on earth to understand its laws better and to help them understand their fellow men. All souls, on leaving the earth plane, must be met on coming to spirit. The departed often return for hundreds of years to assist the troubled ones of the earth to conquer error, despair, and superstition. Everyone labors for others in the name of love and kindness, and for a common end in which all are mutually interested and benefited. There are periods for repurpose. There are periods for repose, but they are